Hello, folks, and welcome back to Pizzas and Park Hops. I am Brandon, and this is my buddy Chris. And wouldn't you know it, we are already at episode number 3. What do you think about that, Chris?
Who would have thought? Who would have thought after a couple weeks we'd be at episode 3?
We are already here. Folks.
Is your wife saying like mine? You're doing it again?
She's amazed. Actually, she's amazed. she's like, wow, you guys are like really burning through these podcasts. And so far, I've talked to some people and they are excited about this podcast. They're loving it. And I feel like we're loving it too. We're getting a lot of good reviews from a lot of folks, and some people were confused on the last one. They thought that we were ranking the coasters from best to worst right off the bat. So like when we went with we talked about Space Mountain second, and we were like trashing it, or I was trashing it. They were like, man, you're trashing your second favorite. And I was like, no, the ranking is at the end. Listen to the whole podcast. So that was kind of funny. But maybe I should do better at explaining myself or something. I don't know. But anyway, this week, this podcast, we are going to talk about all the new fun transformation and changes at Hollywood Studios. What do you think about that, Chris?
I'm liking it. This was an idea that you came up with last week. And, I've been thinking a lot about it. They don't have a ton of things going on, but I think we'll be able to fill a nice show with, with what they got going on and what's going to be coming up in the, hopefully in the next year or two. So I'm excited. We can go right into it.
I think they have a lot going on, Chris. Personally, they got some major changes, and I think that the crowds are going to love it.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a response. The response is going to be great. When are they, realistically, what are we in, end of 25, we're probably not looking till at least a couple of years before we start seeing any of this stuff open up. If I were to guess, probably beginning at 28 at some point. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we're going to see some of these small changes come about right off the bat in 26. I mean, not in the first part of 26, but I think towards the end of 26, we're going to start seeing some of the major changes take shape. But it's going to be a long process. We're not going to see that Monsters Monstropolis land come to being. Probably not till 2028
Yeah.
is my guess. But some of these other smaller ventures that Disney's going to do, I think that we're going to see those a lot sooner, and I'm pretty excited about those.
Yeah. So what do you want to go into first? Why don't you bring
Let's
up the
talk about the
first one?
smaller stuff, and then we'll go for the big
Sure.
enchilada last.
Absolutely.
Okay,
So you want me to lead off?
sure, why not?
All right. So the first thing I'm kind of excited for is the new makeover, the new layover to Smuggler's Run, the Millennium Falcon ride.
Sure.
They're saying, I think they're saying May of this year that the new films, the new videos will be available. It's going to be highlighting Mando and Grogu. I'm excited. Sort of like the Star Tours. I think we touched on this in our first episode.
Right.
Excuse me. I'm excited for the difference in the rides. That ride is very dependent on who you're riding with. When you got little kids that they all want to fly the Millennium Falcon, and it's very hard for adults to do it, let alone the little kids, and they're just kind of moving everything around and it's bumping everything all around. So I'm excited for the new ride because the past couple of years that I've ridden it, it's been the same thing over and over. So I'm excited for the new layover. And like I said, sort of like the Star Tours where you sort of don't know, what you're going to get. I think there's going to be 3, different ride sequences that you're going to be able to get. So I'm excited for that. I've always been a big Star Wars fan, and it's so cool going through the, before the ride, going through the hallways and looking like you're in the Millennium Falcon and doing all that. So I'm excited for that, and for next year, I think we're going to do a good job with that.
Yeah, I think giving it a little bit of a Star Tours feel will be a big plus for the ride. They're going to give the engineers a little something to do and help choose the mission, which I think is really super cool. They're going to be including, let's see here, Cloud City, Tatooine, and Endor in that. Mando, Grogu, like you said. So I think that those are really, really cool IPs within the Star Wars genre that they're going to incorporate. So I think that we're going to see some really cool aspects of that they're going to pull into the Millennium Falcon that we haven't seen before. And I think it's going to make that ride a lot more rideable for a lot of people. I think it's kind of played out a little bit because you were getting on the ride. It was predictable, and if you had little kids being the pilots and things like that, and the adults stuck to being the engineers, it, sometimes could sour the ride, right?
Absolutely.
So now we got where it's catering to a lot more people. I think that said it was going to be May 22nd, 2026. So that's right around that Memorial Day weekend. If it's not Memorial Day weekend, then I think that that's going to be pretty cool when that comes out. I'm excited for it. I'm a big Star Wars fan. As you can see, I'm wearing the Star Wars Roosevelt hoodie tonight. Giving a shout out to Roosevelt's on that one, but Star Wars Episode 1 at that. Anyway, I think that it's going to be top notch. I think that Disney's going to do it right. They've been rolling out those scenes for Star Tours for a lot of years now, and I think that they've really done a lot to tune that up. So I think it's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait for that to come on. So what do you got? What do you got on your list?
We'll talk about that courtyard that they're going to do we'll move over in that area. You know, they just shuttered the
the
launch bay area and the whole like the kids area over there.
Yeah, the Disney Junior.
Right, the Disney Junior area. They just shuttered all of that. And that was just like what 2 weeks ago
Yep.
that they got rid of that. And but they left a new Little Mermaid adventure open right now. That show that's still open. They just reopened that this summer, and boy, I'll tell you that I went and saw that, and it was a great show. They did it right when they redid it. I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't the same show. You know, that they've redone it, and it looks nice. It looks good. A lot of neon colors and things like that, and I was pretty impressed with that. But what they're going to do with the launch bay, I think, is what's probably the coolest part. Is that they're going to do kind of like a animation studio kind of thing going on. They're going to bring in like a sketch artist where you're going to be able to learn how to sketch different Disney characters and things like that. So I think that'll be really pretty cool. They're going to be, putting up, they have this around some of the other parks. They've had it at Epcot. They've had it at Animal Kingdom. They've had it at other places around the parks. And so bringing this over there as a kind of a permanent home really brings that animation experience back to the studio that was Hollywood Studios. And I think that's really cool. And it's really an homage to Walt, himself, and to the whole, Pixar and where it was born, the whole, that kind of thing, so I think it's going to be really cool. And then also within that space, they're going to have an Alice in Wonderland indoor play area for the kids. I think that'll be really neat. It'll be interesting to see how clean or how trippy they're going to make that play area. It's either going to be, and it's either going to be really PG or it's going to be kind of weird and trippy. And I hope it's along the PG lines for the young kids. But it's going to be called Drawn to Wonderland, and I think that's going to be really cool.
Are they planning on putting that where the Disney Junior area is right now, like when you walk in on the right hand side? Is that the plan?
Well, it says that it's going to be in the same building as Launch Bay, so I don't think so. Now, in the Disney Junior area, from what I gather, it's going to be a playful landscape area, quote unquote. It's going to have like shaded seating, that whole middle part. It's going to have shaded seating. It's going to have a bunch of green space and kind of play space, kind of like that play space over in Epcot, that they kind of built where like kind of near where like the Encanto show is right now, in the up in the upper part of the festival area. I can't remember what that's called, but anyway, it's kind of like a multi-purpose play space, green space. I think they're going to do like more Disney Junior stuff up there, but then where Disney Junior actually is, they're going to be bringing in a brand new show. So I think that'll be kind of cool. It'll be, I think that one will still open in 26. From what the what Disney Parks blog has revealed, it'll still come back in 26, but it's going to be totally reimagined in a whole new show.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm excited for that area. I always like going in there. I'm not a big meet and greet person. I like, going in for the Star Wars guys and everything like that. But in general,
Hmm.
it was kind of like a one and done. I went in, with my wife and my kids, and we took the pictures and everything like that. But I never really went back there. So I'm excited for the studios and for the animation and everything like that. My wife is excited for it too. She loves to do artsy stuff and things like that. So, in years past when they used to have it in in Epcot and the Animal Kingdom and everything, she always used to go there and sit down and do it. And I'd go on my own for like an hour and let her do her thing, and she always enjoyed it.
Right.
So she's excited to have that come back. So it's going to be cool to see all that new stuff come in. I'm hoping that they don't do anything with the Walt Museum with the Man in His Dream. That is one of my favorite places to go in. I always go through there every time.
I don't think they're going to.
They're going to leave it.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I always said, I said it in the past. I would love to see them somehow get that to Magic Kingdom. That whole area on Main Street where the theater used to be. Remember back in the day, they would have Steamboat Willie playing on a loop. I know that's a big, huge area in there. I would love to see them get that museum somehow to Magic Kingdom. I think it's just more fitting. I think it would fit there better. But either way, as long as they're not gonna, change that, I love going through there every time I'm in there. It's just relaxing. It's always, they always got the AC cranking, so it's, if it's hot out, you can go in and cool off for a little bit. And, so it's always one of my favorite areas to go through it. And but yeah, no, I'm excited, and I still haven't seen The Little Mermaid, the new show, so I'm planning on probably hitting that in January when we go. And but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that as well. Absolutely.
I think with the, like you said, it's a place, with the indoor play yard and with the animation studio, that animation theater, it's going to be a nice place for families to go and chillax. When it's 90 100 degrees, I think it's going to be a real popular place for families to go in the middle of the day when that hot Florida heat is just burning and beating down on you. It's going to be a great place. Or you might take your go get your lunch over at Sunset Ranch or whatever, and take it in there and sit down and let your kids go burn off some energy while you're munching on some chicken strips or something. So I'm pretty excited about it. My kids are a little too grown for the play space, but they'll probably, my daughters are really into drawing and stuff, so they'll probably love it.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be very, very popular. I think when it first opens up, it's going to be a hard seat to grab. And I don't know how big they're planning on making it.
I know that
we'll see.
I know they're also going to have some stations for character meet and greets in there as well. So that'll be pretty cool. I kind of liken it to how Communicore Hall is. I think that it's kind of going to have that feel where the meet and greets are.
Yep.
Is my guess. But I'm really hard pressed to see that reopen in 26. But if they really get to work on it now, maybe, but I think we're gonna see that late 26, personally.
Yep. No, I agree.
Yep.
So
what do you got next?
All right. So I know we touched on this last time. So my next one's the Rock and Roller Coaster layover with the Muppets.
Oh yeah.
Everybody was, pretty upset about the whole, Muppets 3D Vision, going. That was a great movie. That was something I would hit every trip. But it ran its course. It was an old movie. So, it definitely, in my opinion, needed to be updated. And, I think we're in agreement, like we said last time, is that we think that it's going to be brought back in the theater where the Villains show is right now. obviously they're going to be concentrating on Rock and Roller Coaster first, to get the Muppets into that and get that done. But I think once, we said this before, once the Villains Land is done in Magic Kingdom, I think that show is going to be moved over in some sort, and then they will put the Muppets 3D movie or whatever it might be, into that theater and make that the new Muppets Courtyard, and I think we said, that Miss Piggy Fountain is definitely not gone. They'll probably move that back, but the Muppets layover for the Rock and Roller Coaster is, one of the biggest things that I can't wait for it to come, for it to get done and for us to, finally see how they do that, yeah. outside and inside the ride. I'm excited to see how they're going to redecorate the, the guitar. I saw the, the artist rendition, but it's usually a little bit different. So
right.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for that area too.
Yeah, just like we have not to beat a dead horse here, but man, right. we have, to tell you how excited we are. I think it has been revealed. In our last 3 episodes, we have talked about all 3 of our episodes. We have talked in some capacity about this transformation here of Rock and Roller Coaster. We are excited. Disney, listen, we're excited about Muppets. We're excited about Rock and Roller Coaster and what's going to happen here. And to say, anything less is, it's going to be awesome. I think it's fitting that, that Electric Mayhem is going right in there. There's no better an IP, in my opinion, to take the place of Aerosmith. I think it's a great fit for Rock and Roller Coaster, and I think it's going to push Muppets into the next era of Disney animation. And like I have been saying, but it was just revealed just yesterday that Disney is really going to be pushing Muppets in 2026. Folks, they are rolling out and you're not hearing it here first, but it is pretty exclusive here. They are rolling out a whole new pin set of almost all Muppets next year. And it is probably about 8 to 10 Disney pins that are really nice, really good size Disney pins that are Muppets. And these are super cool. You can scour around on the internet and take a look. I'll see if I can find a picture of them and post it up. But these are super cool. These are some super cool pins that they're going to be putting out for next year. And so super excited about that. I'm a big pin collector. And so for Muppets to be mixed up in there is, man, they're Disney is focusing on Muppets. They're not letting the Muppet fan base down at all next year. And if they open up Rock and Roller Coaster by the end of 2026, it's going to be amazing. So we're going to see Rock and Roller Coaster close at the end of this year, sometime here in the near future. I would say sometime in December, maybe early January. And once that closes, they're going to get to work. And I think they already are starting to get to work, because I've started to see some of the things a few weeks ago that they were working on. So I suppose it's gonna go off pretty quickly, and it's gonna go without a hitch, hopefully, because they're not really having to change the ride vehicle. They're not really having to change much by way of the queue and things like that. They're just having to switch out characters, basically, and some of the theming. So I think it's going to be a good theme over. It's going to be an easy theme over for them, and it's going to go quickly.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that they're going to have to change is going to be the pre-show, in the studio. I
Right.
think that's
Yeah.
probably going to be one of the biggest things they're going to have to do is the new video. I know they're making the animatronic of Scooter. He's going to be off to the side. So it's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait for that. And I know you sent me the pins yesterday. I saw them; those are great. Did they say are those going to be sold individually, or those being sold as a set?
Those are all going to be individual pins.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not selling
Yeah.
a set.
They're super cool.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. Yeah.
Like I said, I'll post them up.
Yeah. Yep. No, I'm excited for those too. But yeah. So before we get into the other main or anything else you have, so another thing that I've always thought about that I don't want to happen would be Tower of Terror. What are your thoughts? I know there's nothing ever confirmed or anything like that. What are your thoughts on Disney ever changing Florida over to the way they did, in California and changing to the, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout? For me, Tower of Terror has always been one of my favorite rides. I don't want to see them touch it, but they've showed in the past that the Tower of Terror, the Twilight Zone IP, they changed it in California. What's going to stop them from doing it in Florida? What's your thoughts on that?
I think with Florida, I don't think that they're going to change it. I don't see it on the. I won't say that they're ever going to change it. Yeah. I don't see them changing it anytime soon, and it's because the Tower of Terror at Florida is the original. It's the original tower. That's the one that if you look at Modern Marvels, the show, it's based off of, and Otis Elevator built that. That was their prototype. And that is the one the Imagineers and Joe Rohde had a hand in it, actually. But a lot of other Imagineers worked on it tirelessly. They all worked on it day and night to figure out an elevator system and how to get an elevator system to fail. And Otis, in their documentary, they said, we only know how to make an elevator that will safely, go from floor to floor, not one that knows how to fail. So that was kind of a cool thing. But I don't ever see. I don't ever see them changing it. But do I see them doing layovers of it? Yes. Mm-hmm. We've seen that during Jollywood Nights. We've seen that during some of the holidays, with some different colors, some different themes in that regard. And I think those are temporary, and I think we'll see that. But I don't ever see them going full Mission Breakout, since we have Cosmic Rewind over at Epcot, just down the road. And that's such a successful ride over at Epcot. Why they would go and do that. I mean, Mission Breakout in California is a pretty awesome ride.
It is pretty cool. Like I said, it's a hot IP right now,
Right.
My biggest thing is why I agree with you. I don't think they would ever do it or nothing, in the near future. The biggest reason I think that they would have a hard time doing it is because, the Hollywood Tower of Terror is the perfect backdrop to Sunset Boulevard. It goes with the whole area, the old time Hollywood decor, plus not to mention, the back of it is, painted and looks like the back of Morocco. It's meant to tie in looking at it from the Epcot side. So yeah, they would have a hard time figuring out a way to kind of blend the rest of the landscape and everything around it if they were to change that building.
I mean, to tell you the truth, I'm actually surprised that Disney did not expand the park out that direction when they decided to put in Monstropolis, because they got a lot of land out that direction, and they could do a lot. They could do a lot of.
You mean out back towards Epcot?
Yep. Yeah. They could do a lot of stuff out back behind
Yeah.
that way. It looks a little landlocked, but really, I mean, you could do some filling in of some waterways or rerouting of some waterways, and boom, you got plenty of land to do whatever you want with. Um, so there's a lot of potential for Hollywood studios in the future, I think. But I don't see them. I don't see them changing the tower anytime soon. It's the icon of the park. Just like the Chinese theater is too. I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, what do you see when you're driving up? You're seeing the tower, right?
Exactly.
And so I don't see them changing it. If they're going to do anything with Marvel here in the near future, um, and with the ability of it, I think it's going to be either Thunderbolts or I don't know if they can do anything with Thunderbolts. Actually, it's going to depend on their IP licensing with Universal, or with Fantastic Four. Again, I'm not sure what stranglehold Universal has on that IP either, but and I see that going in Tomorrowland at Magic Kingdom if they do anything with it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
Disney always has a trick up their sleeve. They
Oh,
could
yeah.
create a whole new Marvel IP just to, like kind of like Guardians, to compete with Universal. So who knows?
Absolutely.
Who knows?
All right. So what do you got?
Well, to like I said, a lot of people were sad that the Muppets area went away, but we're getting probably one of the greatest lands I think that Hollywood Studios could get, and that is Monstropolis, and I'm excited about it. And there's mixed feelings. People have mixed feelings about it. They wanted it to go on the other side of the park. They wanted it to go in Pixar Place. They wanted to go. I mean, they wanted it to go in other places in the park.
It is in a little bit of a weird spot when you look at it on like a satellite imagery.
Right.
They ran out of rooms. So what are they doing? They cut into a parking lot.
Right.
So it is a little bit odd, but again,
it is odd.
You put
but
your
they're taking employee parking. They're not taking customer parking.
Exactly. Yeah. It's still, but what I'm saying is it is a little bit of an odd way for them to do it. Like you said, there are other places off of Hollywood Studios where there's plenty of land to use. So yeah, it's sort of a weird one, but I think that was the plan all along, was to get rid of the Muppets and go in that direction. But again, being the optimist, I'm always going to say, Disney is always going to do the right thing. Not that they're, 100% in every decision they make and everything they do, but I think they're going to do it right. And, again, like you said, to keep beating a dead horse, they got to keep up with Universal. They got to keep up with, the people that are going to Universal, what they're looking for. And, I think they're going to do it right. And I think it's going to be unbelievable once it's done.
I think so too. We're going to get, we're going to have the monsters. We're going to have the factory, right? Right in the very back of the land, and it's going to have Disney's world's first Disney suspended roller coaster. And how freaking cool is that thing? If you've seen any videos of that from that they have revealed, that thing looks super, super cool. It's going to be like the Doors suspension at the factory, and like that scene. And I think that people's faces are going to be blown off when that thing actually is functioning and ride it for the first time. I think it's going to be super cool.
Yeah. Plus the fact that it's going to be a dark ride. It's going to be in the indoor coaster. So
indoor coaster.
It's going to be awesome.
And it's the ride system is really cool. the launching system's really cool on that ride. Um, the model of the um, how the ride's going to go on the inside of the building looks really nice. I don't know how if they're going to build the building first and then build the coaster around it, or if they're going to build the uh, coaster and then build the building around it, or what. I don't know. What's going to happen, but um, it's going to be exciting to see that transformation, and I hope BioReconstruct is taking lots of pictures during that building process, because I think I am so intrigued as to how that thing's going to come together, and I think it's going to be cool. I know, like when they built Guardians, they had to number the beams, and they had to one by one put the beams into place in such a manner that it was like a giant erector set, but they had to do it in such a manner that if one beam was put in at the wrong time, they would have to take apart certain parts of the ride to get it back together.
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't have to do that with this. but and they were doing all that during COVID and stuff, so we'll see. We'll see what happens here, but I'm pretty stoked to see what happens with this, and it's going to be high energy, I think. And it's going to be. I think they're going to mix some laugh floor into that. They're going to mix. A lot of Sully, a lot of Mike Wazowski in there, a lot of the other aliens. And I just think it's going to be full of laughs, but I think it's also going to be fast paced, full of thrills. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, you think they'll move Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor out of Magic Kingdom and move it over there?
I don't know. I think it might stay just because it's kind of a pop. And, it's still pretty popular over there. You go in there and it's 90% of the time it's pretty full. At the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, it's not so full. But in the middle of the day, I mean, that's packed in there.
Yep.
It's just as packed as Philhar Magic on a hot day.
Yeah.
So I see it. I see it sticking around. They're they kept Buzz Lightyear over there. So
yeah, that's true.
So I think maybe they'll stay.
Yeah.
Some other things that we're going to get. We're going to get some meet and greets. We're going to get some restaurants. A few restaurants over there.
Pretty Harry Hauser, right?
Yeah, Harry Hauser. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm excited for a good ramen house over there. My daughter is excited about that. I just hope that it's not weird food, super weird food.
Have they said whether it's going to be a sit down or a quick service?
I believe it'll be a sit down. Personally, so? Yeah, and I just hope it's not real strange food like over at like Olga's, or something like that. Because man. Every time I ate over at Olga's, it's just, man, the food's just too weird, and like now, Ronto Roasters, that's a little different, the Ronto wrap everybody loves, right? Yep. But every time anybody I've ever talked to about Olga's, they're like, yeah, the food's just too weird, so I hope that it's not weird, and it's good. It's and everybody loves it, and so I'm excited. I'm really stoked about Monsters Inc. And I'm really excited about just walking through that archway or whatever they got, gate or whatever they have, and stepping into that land. Kind of like how when you walk into Galaxy's Edge, you're on the street, like in a city street. You walk through that, right through that kind of that portal, basically. I wouldn't call it a portal because that's what Universal uses, but you walk
big archway.
You walk through that archway underneath that dome or whatever, and you walk through there and you're, in Galaxy's Edge. And I think that that's super cool, and I hope that, when you step into Monsters Inc., in Monstropolis, it's just like that, that you are in a monsters environment, and in an alien land. And Disney does pretty good, with that. They did, we've talked about this before. They did good with Toy Story Land, um,
Yep.
and I think kids relate to Monsters Inc. And here we are again. I they're going to be catering to the kids again,
Hmm.
and but I think with that coaster, they're going to cater to not only the kids but the adults as well,
Yeah,
right?
that'll be a big
And
boy
so
coaster.
I think it's going to be an adult style coaster on
Yeah.
this one.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the theming on this.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they do a better job. Now, I'm gonna start by saying that I love Galaxy's Edge, love Rise, love Smuggler's Run, love the whole theming and everything like that. My biggest gripe with Galaxy's Edge is that I think there's a lot of excess wasted space that they don't
Hmm.
really utilize. When you think of it, like you said, when you go through the archway, you got Rise of the Resistance on the left hand side. But then if you want to walk the Smugglers, you have to keep walking quite a ways, and there's really not a lot of things going on. There's, a couple of the ships here and there, but for the most part, there's not a lot going. So my thing that they could have condensed that area and a little bit smaller, and not had all that empty space. Or, if maybe they have plans to use it in the future. I don't know. The nice thing
Right.
about Toy Story Land is that it's fairly confined for the most part. It's not huge.
Hmm.
So that way, a lot of the theming, it's all kind of on top of each other, and it's, kind of like sensory overload, right? You get
Right.
all the colors and the toys, and all the rides are literally within 30 yards of each other. You know, that's what I think they're gonna end up doing with Monsters Inc. Land when it's open. Just from the artist rendering of the area, it
Yeah.
doesn't look like it's going to be spread out like Galaxy's Edge is. It's just going to be that one little area. It's going to bend to the right, and then the coaster is going to be kind of right there. Harryhausen is going to be at the left. So I'm excited. I think the theming is going to be great over there.
Yeah.
So
Do you have a feeling? Do you have a feeling, Chris, that they're going to maybe put in a second or third ride before that land opens?
in Monsters, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that
so.
I think they have
I think
something
I
else.
think they have to.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna open a land with just a restaurant and a ride. There's
No,
gonna be something.
I think they're going to have two restaurants.
Yeah,
They're going to have a quick service, and I think they'll have a sit down.
yep,
But then I think, why open it with one ride? I think they're going to have to open it with two. And I got a feeling for D23 2026, we're going to get that. We're going to
probably
get that
announcement.
info.
They
Yeah.
haven't said what they're gonna use the old Muppets movie, the 3D Muppets 3D
Right.
building
Yeah.
for, right? I mean, that's
Right.
kind of unaccounted for, and I can't, I don't think they're gonna level the building.
No,
So
I
I
don't
mean,
see them.
they got to utilize that for something. So maybe I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe put a ride in there. I mean, I don't think they would do another movie. I mean,
They could, they
it
could,
is already a theater.
they could even do, I mean, let's face it, two of the rides in Toy Story Land are almost, I wouldn't say carnival style rides, but they could be semi carnival style rides. Toy Story Mania and Alien Swirling
I
Saucers.
love Toy Story Mania.
I like them both. Okay, I won't ever ride Alien Swirling Saucers, but
No.
Toy Story Mania is a cool, and maybe we get a ride like that in the theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we see, something revealed about a second ride. A big reveal would be really cool. So Disney, if you're listening, we want a second ride. So yeah, I don't see them opening up a land with just one ride. Yeah, that would just
I
kind of be
agree.
weird. It'd be kind of weird.
Well, it's going to be
Um,
that. It's going to be another attraction. Maybe
yeah,
not
or
necessarily
attraction,
a ride, but I don't know.
a show.
Yeah, I mean that'd be kind of cool if they did
I
like
got a
a
lot of
like
shows in Hollywood studios,
yeah. I
so
mean they could do like a Monsters 4D type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Those are fun.
yeah,
But who knows? But I agree. I think they're going to announce some at some point. I think next summer.
yeah. So they're running at to talk about this transformation further. We're seeing all of these different things happening at Hollywood studios, and I think right now, Magic Kingdom's getting its thing. It's getting the Cars Land. It's getting the Big Thunder update. It's getting it got its Splash Mountain update. So it's getting its things. Hollywood Studios is really the park in transformation right now.
Mm-hmm.
I Epcot got its transformation. It was a cheap one, and
Yeah.
I call it a Chapek transformation. And I think they're really, um, they really saw the error of their ways with that Epcot transformation, and they're hopefully, um, trying to do it right at Hollywood Studios on this one. And I think we're going to see a lot more come out of this than what's anticipated for what a lot of people are anticipating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as time progresses, we're going to continue to see more out of Hollywood studios, and they're already running. They're running like two shows a night besides Phantasmic. They're running two Phantasmics. They're running two um, different nighttime shows.
Yep.
So they're trying to keep people in the park. And so I think, with all these things, they're trying to keep that dollar in Hollywood studios. They're trying to keep people there till 9, 10 o'clock at night. And in order to do that, they're going to have to continue rolling that transformation. And they're going to have to continue to offer more for Hollywood studios to not be a 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock drop out of that park for families. And so to keep families and keep those dollars in the park, keep people from going to Epcot or Magic Kingdom at night, they're going to have to do that. So, what's the future hold for Hollywood studios? Who knows? But I'm excited to see that transformation take place and what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, I agree with the whole hours thing, and this is sort of across the board at Disney. I'm hoping when all these new transformations, the Cars Land, the Villains Land, Big Thunder Mountain, Hollywood Studios, everything like that. I hope they go back to being open till 10 or 11 o'clock at night on a regular basis like they used to. You know what I mean? And have the extra magic hours till midnight or 1.
Right.
First time I took my kids in 2010, we were there till 2 a.m. My kids were 5 and 8. And, we were like, me and my wife, should we stay? Should we go? Let's just hang around until they crash. And then when they do, we'll just leave. 1:45, we were like just on Splash Mountain, just running it. 1:45 with my 5-year-old, just going and going and going and going and going. That was one of the best things I remember, So they really need to go back to the later nights. And 9 o'clock is just too early. You know what I mean? It's just too early, especially, the way I do it, me personally, is that, I tend to split my day. I'll
right.
go to the park hop, I'll, rope drop in the morning, go, in the afternoon, go back for a couple hours and go to another park.
That's basically what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Like around 5 or 6, 5 or 6 o'clock. And then before you know it's 9 o'clock and they're kicking you out. So
right.
They got to start opening later. That's my hope is that when all these are done, that they do start opening later again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Crowds. But yeah, I agree with the whole Epcot thing. I think Epcot is done for the most part. I don't think they're gonna be focusing on anything on there. I know they the whole they keep talking about doing the Spaceship Earth, refurb. That's down now. When is that? That's slated to be done soon.
It actually comes back next month.
Yeah, so that was a quick one. So I'm
Yeah.
not anticipating too much of a change with that.
Right.
I think it was more maintenance than anything. More of a
right.
I don't see them changing any of the content.
I think it was a facelift a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm not anticipating anything to it. So yeah.
So yeah, with that, we'll leave Hollywood Studios there, and we hope that they stay open later and continue with the changes that's occurring. So Chris, with the on the pizza front, we didn't talk about pizza much last week.
Yeah.
What did you grab any slices this week? Or?
I grabbed a lot of slices. Well, we have so I manage an eye doctor's office. So a lot of these contact lens companies come in, and especially now it's it's the beginning of last quarter fiscal year of 25, so everybody's scrambling to get in to get their meetings and everything like that. And so these companies are, we'll buy lunch for the office. So like I said, we have a great pizza place right around the corner from us. So a lot of these places like to buy us pizza. So last week we got 5 large pizzas. 5 large pizzas. We got a cheese. We got a pepperoni and sausage. We got a buffalo chicken. We got a chicken and broccoli, and then we got what you guys call the supreme. It was like a 6 topping. It's pepperoni, sausage, salami, peppers, onions, mushrooms, and then
you guys call it the Farouche?
No, so there's different places that call it different places. Where I go, the place where I ordered it from at Regina's, they call it the Jambata. I said that on the first one. But I used to work for a place called Papagino's when I was in high school, and that was called the Master. And then they had another one that was they had another one that was called the Works. It was basically the Master with hamburger on it. So yeah, we did that. We had that, I believe, last Wednesday, and then Sunday night for the Patriots Buffalo Bills game, I made a couple of homemade pizzas. Made my dough, made my sauce, and that was it. Me and my wife watched the game, had some pizza, watched the Patriots beat Buffalo, and then watched Kansas City lose last night. So it was a great weekend.
Ouch, man! I love, the Chiefs, man. They that last minute of the game was rough, man. That was a rough game. The Jags got us. They pounced. Last Friday night, me and the family, we went and picked up Lombardi's. Shout out to Lombardi's. They got that good New York style pizza. We got the Lombardi, which is the meat pizza. You got about 4 or 5 toppings of meat on that thing, and man, it was so freaking good. About an 18-inch pizza, cut in about 6 slices. So you got about a 6. You got about you got about a 6-inch slice pizza. And they got this cheese bread. And, they take like a French bread, and they put cheese, all different kinds of cheese on there and melt it and stuff. And man, that's freaking good. And so, we got that pizza last week. Man, it was piping hot. It was super good. And I told the girl behind the counter, I said, "Yeah, we got this podcast called Pizzas and Park Hops." And I said, "We're going to give you a shout out. We already gave you a shout out once. We're going to give you a shout out again." So,
So did she hook you up with anything?
No, but
not even like a free soda or something?
No, but we're building up the relationship with the pizza joints around. We gotta get that name out there. Yeah. So anyway, but kids love it. We love Lombardi's, and they treat us right. So I can't talk bad about them, man. They're good. They're good. So,
do you know what the first pizza place in the United States was?
No, I don't, man.
It was Lombardi's.
Oh, it was called Lombardi's, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
in New York
Uh,
City.
uh, that's cool.
Yep.
That's cool. Uh, and so we love it. We love pizza. We'll be reviewing pizza all the time here.
Oh,
So
yeah.
um, just keep your ear to the ground, man. We're gonna be hooking people up with all these good pizza reviews and all the good park stuff. So stay tuned, folks. You know, we're gonna just keep pumping it out to you guys.
Yeah. We
People
got
are
some.
just begging for the content, man.
Yeah,
So
some
I'm
great.
excited.
We got some great ideas for some shows coming up. So everybody
Oh yeah, we got
should be
a
excited.
lot a lot of stuff in the oven, right? A lot
Yep.
of dough rising. It's going to be exciting. So
Yep. The dough's right.
anyway, I'm Brandon and this is Chris and we are Pizzas and Park Hops. Thanks for listening for another week 3, our episode 3, and we are excited, man. We, like I said, we are pumped. We've been getting so much good feedback on this podcast, and we're loving it. So, you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
See you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.